Hello and welcome to our 14 FC podcast. I'm Alex, Crystal Palace fan.
And I'm Tom, a West Ham sufferer.
And this is your home for everything not top six. Tired of your team being last of the match of the day and not getting the flowers they deserve? Well, that's about to change. Tom, how have you got for the listeners this week?
So this week we had an inspired yet heartbreaking performance from the Magpies. We had new digs, no problems for the Toffees. No sweat from Keith Andrews' Bees, and a lot more to break down. It was tough times for Wolves and West Ham, Villa's blunt sword, and a night to forget for Leeds in London. And we have a long-range wizard in peak Barclays.
How long were you working on that, for fuck's sake?
About 3 minutes, mate. I've got away with words, you know?
Yeah, of course you do, How was your week anyway? What have you been up to? This is actually the first time we've talked since last pod, wasn't it?
It actually is. Yeah, I did nothing, mate. I truly wasted the bank holiday weekend playing copious amounts of Football Manager and replaying Ghost of Tsushima.
Mate, you really are taking life by the horns there, aren't you?
Mate, I'm comfortable in my 30s, just doing what I want to do.
Mate, I feel that. I did pretty much nothing as well, but that was because I was working all weekend. Working late shifts, which was not smart I thought I'd come to with my jet lag after America, and then Friday night I did a shift till midnight, and then Saturday I did 11 to 11.
You could have really done with that weekend to fully recuperate and come back.
Exactly. Then on a Sunday, obviously, it was the football, so I did that and went to have a few beers afterwards. Bank holiday, just spent it like absolutely feeling crippled, and then worked that evening again till midnight. Oh. So yeah, I've not put my body through it, and then it was my birthday on Tuesday, so yeah, didn't even have a chill one for that because I had to work all the way through it, so it's just been work. But yeah,
you need to pay for it. You need to pay for those tramp stamps you keep getting with Palace winning things. So
yeah, I'm sure we don't bore everyone with work and everyone can relate to it. So yeah, should we take a break and get into it for the week?
Yeah, let's go.
Nice. Okay, and we're back. So, Tom, where do you want to start with the games this week?
I think there's a couple of really good places that we can start, but, you know, Monday was fresh in everyone's mind, so I think let's start with St James's Park and Newcastle's absolutely gutting loss 2-3 to Liverpool. Yeah,
I think that's the right place to start. I think if you look at those first 45, 50 minutes, you couldn't write a script for anything worse that a Newcastle fan could have been hoping for in that period. Like, it was diabolical. The only thing that could be worse is if somehow Isa came out in a Liverpool shirt at half-time just to really rub the salt in the wounds for Newcastle fans. But I think the thing that's like really compelling for them, and it's more than something to hold on to the rest of the season, their performance in the second half. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I actually don't think they played that badly in the first half. I just think a lot of things went against them, and obviously we'll come on to Gordon's reckless challenge, but the first goal for Liverpool was against the run of play, I think, and then the second one, and I thought Newcastle played all right, and then the second half, I really thought conceding 20 seconds after half time that the game was done.
Like, yeah, I thought capitulation, like that's exactly it. Like you see Liverpool do it to so many teams as well. Like they'll just get their noses in front through. I'm not going to say it was a lucky goal, their first one, because it's a good finish in the bottom left corner if you're going to be able to hit there through a defender's legs. But then, yeah, that second one goes in. You think all the team talk and everything probably goes out the window. There's that shot of Eddie Howe like on the sideline, watching the goal go in, and then Arne Slot running out, like missing it. It's like it's so like almost taking the piss out of Newcastle at that point, and you just feel like it's just weren't going to be their day.
It's like a little bit comical at that point. Like,
yeah, it was
like
comical.
Everything was against Newcastle. Like you could tell. Like obviously there was the whole hubbub around Isak and everything. It really felt like Newcastle fans felt like this was a us against the world kind of moment.
Yeah. Do you find the media like, because obviously it's been going on for ages. We haven't talked about it much on here because it's so fucking done. But the way I was thinking, the media's almost turned it on Newcastle in a way, I think, where I think, like you say, it's Newcastle versus the world. The fans feel like that. But I think also the media's kind of turned it to like, well, it's Liverpool, they have to get their player now.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the media wants them to go to Liverpool. Like, yeah. They want Isak to be at one of the established top 6 teams. Like,
I feel for Newcastle fans in that way because, yeah, it's created all that hubbub about it. And then instantly in this game, as soon as they go 2-0, it's going to be like people in the media laughing at Newcastle, being like, well, you don't really deserve this, when really, I sat there like, wait a minute, they're all in the right because the player's in contract. They're just wanting to hold on to a player who's like turning against them, really. I don't know about the Eddie Howe, like, promise him a move or whatnot, but he's still contracted under them. He's probably one of their biggest paid players. And yeah, I just felt myself being like, checking myself a bit in that, thinking, Newcastle are probably the ones that have been hard done by in all of this.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think this has like been a summer that's really exposed the PSR and those sort of changes, because it's really been Newcastle and Villa that have just been absolutely like hounded for it, while the traditional big six have gone off and made like crazy signings and like spent all the money, and then it's like teams like Newcastle who do have money aren't able to spend it for whatever reason. But I don't want to make this all about Isak. Like it's like it's obvious that they need him. Like anyone would be missing Isak. Like he's an unreal player. But the absolute shift from Newcastle when they were down to 10 men, no Isak in the second half. Everyone, I'm sure, like that isn't a Newcastle fan probably thought the same thing like that we did. Like sort of, they might be buried in this game. I can't see them scoring a couple of goals, even though Liverpool seem very defensively fragile at the moment. But still incredible for Newcastle to get those couple of goals to come back. Really, like the home crowd spurred them on as well. Once they got that first one, it was like all Newcastle. It felt like there was only going to be one winner, and it was crazy considering they were down to 10 men.
It just didn't seem like they were down to 10 men in that period at all. Like
no, they were boxing Liverpool right in. It was like attack versus defence, and it was like, wait a minute, you've got a man less and you're doing this to the champions of England. Like that is an unreal feat to be able to do that.
I mean, if you're going to get the red card, like we should probably talk about the red card. If you're going to get a red card, I guess if it's someone up in the top three, it's probably the best place to get a red card, if we're being brutally honest. But what do you think about it? I think it's one of those that if it's against the top six side, it's getting given as a red. If it's a top six side doing it, they're moving on from it and just being like, oh yeah, he's caught him, but it's not a big deal. Do you know what I mean?
Probably, but it is definitely a red. Like
probably definitely,
Like I think Scott mentioned it on our previews where he said, I think he was talking about the Carabao Cup semi-final or something, where he said like Anthony Gordon is a numpty, and the reason why me and my partner Lena call him Dirty Diana, not because he just looks like Princess Diana, but he's a little bit dirty as well. And it's like it doesn't surprise me to see him putting in that tackle. Like it is a really reckless. On first, like in real time, I thought, oh, that's probably a bad tackle. It's probably a yellow card. And then you see as soon as you see the first replay,
breaking down there, and you can't
breaking down. It's like you didn't need to see any other replays. For me, it was like one replay was like, nope, that's a red card. We can move on.
But that's my thing. My stigma to it though is just like, if that was Liverpool on a Newcastle player, it's getting moved on. It's like, nothing to see there. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah, I'm sure we've seen that many a time. Like, I'm sure there was instances in recent seasons where it has been a top six player who's done that to another 14 player, and it's not been mentioned about in such heinous terms and stuff.
Exactly that. But yeah, you just gotta feel for Newcastle at the end, really, because you do all that hard work, and for all to just go like, that's the one moment where it felt like, it is 11 against 10 here. And then I can't remember the kid's name. It's been all over socials and everything, but I was just like, it makes me think of him getting the goal right at the end. I hope it didn't look like Newcastle fans were like leaving like in pure anger. It looked like a lot to stay to give the team what they deserve, because they deserved a massive what's the word I'm looking for? Massive applause for the shift they put in for them.
100%, yeah. They really deserve something from the game. Like, as I say, they didn't play badly in the first half, just didn't get their breaks. And then the second half, they were the better team, despite being down to 10 men. Really, really unfortunate ending. Like, as you say, that's kind of where the 10 men comes into play, because you see, I think it was Livramento at right back has pulled into where Szoboszlai was in the box, and he does the dummy that leaves it to Ungamoa, who's just there on his own, where it's like that extra man. Maybe there's someone covering Szoboszlai, and Livramento can be actually in that fullback spot. But it's just absolute gutting, because before that it felt like Newcastle might have even been able to get all 3 points. But like, even if they had managed to come out of this game with 1 point, it would have been a very, very big 1 point.
Well, that was it. There was a point, I think, just before the third goal went in for Liverpool. I think it was in throw into Newcastle or something. I was just like, what are they looking to do in this point? Because like, if you're down to 10 men, most likely you're thinking, oh yeah, just rescue the point. But they're still going for it, and maybe that was the downfall. But I think with the momentum and everything, how the game been built up and everything, Newcastle are probably always going for the winner there. The one thing I do worry for him now, though, is Gordon's obviously going to have a 3-match suspension if that card doesn't get overturned. They're low on strikers as it is. Like, I'm seeing that they're putting in bids for our man Strand Larson from Wolves, and they're getting battered away. Like,
they're in a really hard place right now because everyone knows that they need 2 strikers. Like, really, like they lost Wilson as well. They've been trying to get Visser all summer. Like, everyone knows that they need 2 strikers. So if you're Wolves, who have just signed Strand Larson after making his loan permanent for less than 20 mil, I think it was in the end, like, you're going to be like, oh no, you can pay 100 mil or something like it. You're going to have to pay incredibly over the odds for that player because we know you're desperate, and it's an awful situation for Newcastle to be in. Like, with all the high hopes that we had for them, it's been a rocky start to the season and a really rocky summer for them.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point for him. I made a note, like, in that first half, I was kind of noting, like, oh, this probably isn't going to be the top 6, like, hunting Newcastle that we thought because of losing the talisman and the way the performance was. But they just need bodies, really, don't they, to be able to hope to push for that European place again. Otherwise, it feels like mid-table mediocrity could be their leeching.
I think they'll still finish in the top 10, and I think they'll still be in with a shout of some European spot next season, but it might not be the 5th place that the Champions League finish, as well as they've obviously got the Champions League to come. So that once those games, if they don't get a couple of strikers in before the end of the window, then it's going to be a difficult season to achieve the heights that they wanted to. But we'll come on to that. I mean, there's lots more to see from Newcastle. The one thing I do want to say about this game that is completely nothing to do with the football and is a very much old man yells at cloud moment. I don't give a fuck about ref cam. Like,
they even used the fucking thing in it. Like,
they showed it like about 10 times for about 3 seconds, and it was just like, here's some dodgy footage of the referee running around, and then at one point they tried to be like, isn't it amazing how he got himself into position? I'm like, it's his job. Like, he's a referee. Like, it's also not hard. They generally just run around the centre circle. Like,
hey, I've seen you running on a football pitch, and I know me running on a football pitch. We're both fucking useless. So.
Oh yeah, I'd be at the other end of the pitch going penalty.
Oh no, but no, is that the same ref cam they used for that one against us in United, where you had like Elise skinning Casemiro and scoring?
I think so, yeah.
What? So why have they brought it back for this one match? Do you know?
I think there's going to be a feat this season. I think it's like part of like some Premier League trying to like do more like NBA sort of stuff where they have like cameras like on and in the pitch kind of thing, like a lot more access. But yeah, I don't know. Call me a grumpy old man, but I don't care.
No, you're right. I do not give a fuck, and we'll move on from that game now because of that. You want to move on to Everton, Brighton, which I'm very much looking forward to talking about.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Everton's new digs. It was a perfect homecoming for them.
Yeah, perfect homecoming with a 2-0 win with 2 goals. Well, sorry, not 2 goals. 1 goal from Ndiaye and 1 goal from Gardner. And yeah, I just want to start, like, there's a shot on Match of the Day of the beginning of the game, and you have, like, blue smoke bellowing out of the top of the Hill Dickinson stadium. And I was just like, yes, that's exactly what I want to see from Everton in their new stadium. It's like, that sets the scene for it. The place looked mad from what I've seen. Looks like there's a massive away allocation, which makes me happy for getting tickets to go up there. And then move on to the game, and I just want to say, as the season started, I think I'm going to be right about Everton finishing pretty high this year.
It looks like a right call, that.
Like, yeah, it honestly does. I think they found the perfect signing in Jack Grealish for him. I remember when they got him, I was like, I don't really understand how that's happened. And then I was like, Liverpool is a great night out, so that's obviously happening. I even put in my notes, like, I'm really happy he's come to a other 14 side, because he's a player I love watching, and I'm really happy we're going to be able to talk about this season as well now.
I think it's his level. Like, the City move was always a bit of a weird one. Like, yeah, he had a good season, but he is like that sort of talismanic player that an other 14 team love. Like, you know, like someone like Paolo Di Canio and things like Dimitri Payet for me and stuff. Like, those iconic players, really mavericks that just like you don't necessarily ask them to do a lot like of work in the game. You kind of you overcompensate that with the other 10 players. You have maybe a few more like workhorses in midfield, etc. Like defenders who will be able to sort of cover him and like on their own rather than him coming back. And you leave him up there in the places where he can really affect it. I mean, his second assist is the easiest assist he'll ever get. But the first one is really nice. That puts it into a really dangerous position, and Ndiaye follows it in as like all good sort of forwards should be doing. And that is a really nice piece of symmetry for Ndiaye to get the last goal at Goodison and then the first goal at the Hill Dickinson. Like I just like it was like, especially like I think Ndiaye is a player that we both quite like watching, and would have in both of our teams. But if you offered him us,
mate, we were linked with him for years, and I was so annoyed we haven't done the business, especially with how he's turned up at Everton. And I just think him and Grealish in the same team it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Like
if they can get a striker that like one of them to settle down into the team, like whether it's Beto or Barry or an alternative comes in, those two on the wings, any striker is going to be feasting.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. Like if Beto can find form that he had a little bit when Moyes first came in, that's actually a terrifying top three. I mean, I think the squad's a bit thin for Everton. In all honesty, if we look into it, like an injury to either of them it'd be a bit of a worry. But I mean, before it was just an injury to Ndiaye, and you're absolutely terrified for him. But yeah, the game itself, I think Brighton looked like they were missing something, and I think they look like they're missing something in the past two games. I'm not sure quite what that is, though. Really, I'm not sure if it's a bit more experience maybe in the team or just finishing.
I don't know how Brighton didn't score in this one, to be honest. Like they had so many really, really good chances. Like there was Mitoma's early shot that hit the crossbar. The Welbeck had a tap in that he missed like soon after. Van Hecker smashes it against the post. O'Reilly pounces on Tarkowski's back pass and has a chance, and then Welbeck has that penalty later on. Like I feel like Brighton just came up against the new stadium like voodoo, and they could have been out there for 3 days and wouldn't have scored, because they score some of those more often than not, those chances, and there was some magic going on for Everton in this game that it was just like it won't be happening. And then Pickford came up with the Gandalf "you shall not pass" and penalty.
Yeah, what did you think of the penalty? I think it was a little bit harsh as a penalty.
I'm not a fan of giving a penalty for that handball. I feel like it's, again, we kind of spoke about it last week, like maybe that like some new initiative that they're trying to like get players to put their hands right like behind them or whatever, but I'm not a fan of giving that as a penalty.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's going to hit his body or his face if it doesn't hit his hand. But yeah, I feel like the save for the penalty is probably the right thing. And then, why does the media love focusing on water bottles and
they love it?
They absolutely love it. Like they bum that shit big time. It's just
like, wow, man does the smallest bit of research.
It's just like fucking every time. It shows that he's got nothing to talk about. A bit like us trying to find anything to talk about as well. But no. What else do I know? I mean, Gardner's goal. I know you said the assist was
really nice,
but that was an absolute like thunder cunt into the bottom corner. Like you gotta love that from it. Yeah, I think that's it for everything I have in that game. Do you have anything else you want to pick up from it?
No, I would just say I don't think it's time for Brighton to panic. I think they almost got a win in the first game, like late consolation for late equaliser for Fulham. So, and then in this one, I think they're showing lots of signs. They're creating the chances. I think the goals will come for Brighton. I think they just need to settle into the season a little bit more. And in this one, I don't think they were like that as defensively open as they were in the first game. So I still see a lot of positives for Brighton out of this, even though obviously it was a frustrating result for them. But Everton, perfect curtain raiser for the new ground.
Cool. And I think the complete opposite. I think Brighton fans should start panicking big time because it's all going wrong. No, only joke. Cool. Then do you want to move on to two of the new boys and a bit of a surprise result from the weekend?
Yeah, this one took you right off guard, didn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't seeing it. So Burnley 2, Sunderland 0. was it Cullen with one of the goals and Anthony with the other. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, we didn't talk much about Burnley in the first week because obviously 3-0 at Spurs, there wasn't really much to talk about positivity-wise for Burnley fans. But I think I said to you off air, I was like, they got the feeling of a no goals, no wins like side maybe going into it. And then, yeah, shut me right up. They made Turf Moor seem like a real fortress, apart from the lights not working, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, sort your floodlights out, Burnley. That was pretty embarrassing for your home debut, but the performance on the pitch wasn't embarrassing at all from Burnley. Like I think we said it last week. Like it was hard to judge them on the first game away at a top 6 team. It was always going to be a difficult one for them. This was the game to see how they turned up and how, like, especially against a Sunderland team coming off such a rousing win. But it was also, all right, this is Burnley's first home game. Like they've got that side of things. Where as Sunderland had the week before in their win over against West Ham, like Burnley had that going for them. And I thought they played pretty well in this one. Like I think they were fairly defensively solid. I think they got away with one really early on where Mayenda for Sunderland doesn't really put it in any corner. Like he kind of puts it a bit too close and Dubravka makes a save. Like if Mayenda's getting that in any corner, then it's like a really early on. Burnley are 1-0 down, but
yeah, that's the same phase of play where Bollard gets injured, isn't it?
Is
as
it?
well? Yeah, and I think that I don't know if it's a turning point for Sunderland. Like obviously having a key man for him going off that early, obviously scoring a goal for him against Coventry in the playoff semis. I just don't know. The player that came on, I can't remember his name. Unfortunately, he looked a bit shaky at the back. I think
it was Sealt who played next to him in the first game and played last year with him. But I think he was one of the players that Sunderland were very sort of keen to upgrade on in the summer, and obviously in this one they dropped him to the bench and played Alderete and Ballard as the centre backs. But yeah, losing Ballard to injury is a really big one. I haven't been able to follow up whether it's a serious injury or not, but losing him for any amount of time is gonna have an impact. And yeah, you hope next man up mentality. Maybe Sealt comes into is not as good coming off the bench. Like it can be quite hard for a defender to come off the bench a bit cold, not expecting to come on in that phase. But yeah, I mean Burnley, going back to Burnley, like they look really good in this. After that, sort of like the first half was a bit end to end. Both teams had their chances. There was a disallowed goal for Burnley that was absolutely correct.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The geezer that comes on for Sunderland gets away with it there, doesn't he, with the VAR? Which, yeah, that was shambolic.
I mean, Lalfos was trying to get a piggyback on his way to the goal for that one. So, like, it was definitely a foul. Like, but you know, they like Burnley went through the motions and then came out in the second half, and I thought they looked really, really good in the second half. Like, they get the goal fairly soon after half time from a former Hammer, Josh Cullen. It was a really nice team goal as well, like the flick assist from Anthony into Cullen's path, and then the really nice finish. Like that was Burnley,
isn't it?
Huh?
It's just like a lovely curler, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a really nice little curler, and I'm glad for Josh Cullen. You know, like he was someone who kicked about the West Ham academy for a long time, and was like always like one of the fans wanted to see get game time, but he probably needed those few years away down like in the Championship, sort of getting like all the game experience and stuff. And yeah, I was happy that he opened the scoring in this one.
Yeah, I mean he'd probably be getting a game for West Ham now, let's be honest. But oh no, I just want to touch on other bits. Like for some reason, watching Match of the Day, they really did not make much of this Burnley win. They like analysed one little bit and they're like, oh, let's move on to all the promoted teams winning. And I was just like, give them a bit more, because there was a lot to pick out of that game. For me, it just doesn't. From what I watched there, it doesn't feel like a Burnley team like I've seen before. If that makes sense, it feels like they maybe got a bit more to them up front and a bit more like, rather than just like, we're going to shield it, we're going to play Sean Dyche football. And I'm sorry, Burnley fans, from an outside fan looking in, it's always going to be like that Sean Dyche stigma on Burnley, isn't it? Like, and it just feels like they're a bit more.
Well, I think with Scott Parker, love him or hate him, you've got a much more balanced manager than Sean Dyche or Vincent Kompany. Like, those were two very opposite ends of the spectrum in how they want their teams to play. Whereas Scott Parker, it does sit generally more in the middle of that. He's a lot more pragmatic, but he's not, we need to go 4-4-2. He's not like full on Sean Dyche, but he can get his teams to play. Like he'll still at times encourage them to like pass out from the back. Like almost got them in trouble a couple of times in the first half, but encourage them to do it at the right times, but then go long at the right times as well. It wasn't like Dyche quite often was like, no, we have a way, we want to go front to back as soon as possible, sort of thing, back to front as soon as possible kind of thing. Whereas Scott Parker will generally find that middle ground a little bit more. So whether that's enough to keep Burnley up, like it was enough in this game to sort of capitalise against Sunderland, especially. I mean, 2-0 makes it seem like a little bit more comfortable than it probably was at times. But
it was a bit of an end-to-end game at points, wasn't it? Like you could have seen Sunderland getting one and it ending as a draw, but
that's the thing. I mean, Sunderland are pushing for an equaliser late on and then concede a second because they've ceded quite a lot of space and in the defence. Like a couple of them are going forward, they're out of position, and then Jadon Anthony manages to pounce on that with sort of what is kind of like trademark for him, like running into space. Like that's like the best opportunity. Like the best Jadon Anthony is that kind of player. Like where like there's space in behind the defence for him to run into and have that rather than someone who's gonna necessarily unpick things from a low block or make magic happen necessarily all the time. Like if you give him some space to run into, he can definitely hurt you, and he managed to do that and capitalised on Sunderland going for it late on.
It almost felt like a carbon copy of the late last-minute goal they scored against you guys. Sunderland scored against you like the week before, so it's like Sunderland almost having it done against them. But yeah, I guess one thing, like I said, Match Day touched on it. All three promoted teams now have won. We the farmers now. Is that what it is? That's what I'm thinking. Like, do you feel like they're all going to have a good shot at it? All their wins have come at home, and that's the most important thing, really, keeping your home a fortress when you've come up. It could be quite interesting, and I mean, I'm pretty terrified of going down if all the teams perform. I don't know how you must feel about it, but
yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely terrified. I was kind of banking on three teams still being worse than us, but it's not looking like that early on. But props to all three of them to have registered their first wins already. Like we'll come on to Leeds' tricky game later, but they, like as you say, maintaining home results is going to be key for all three of them. If they can win enough games, grind out enough draws at home, they might all be all right. And as a lot of people have said, this is probably the season where there's a bit more vulnerability in the other 14 sort of relegation candidates that are like one or two or maybe even three of the promoted teams could stay up. We'll see how things go. It's still early in the season.
Yeah, 100%. But I can say any Burnley or Sunderland fans that want to give us the finger for saying they were going to go down, and if they stay up at the end of the season, feel more than free. But yeah, cool. Moving on to Brentford, Aston Villa. This was another one that shocked me a little bit, but I wasn't too surprised because it kind of made me feel, okay, Brentford are going to be okay. But yeah, it was a 1-0 win to Brentford over Villa with an Otara goal. And yeah, I think you've made the note there. I'll let you take it away, but he just had a great debut for him, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely outstanding debut from Dango Utara. Like, he looks like a great Mbeumo replacement. Like, in this game, he was absolutely full of work. Like, ran sort of hit every blade of grass. He was winning fouls, like dragging the team up the pitch kind of thing. Like a lot of what Mbeumo used to do when Brentford were feeling a little bit under the pressure and stuff. Like they'd hit up a long ball into space for Mbeumo and he'd muscle out the defender and then he'd get pushed and it would be like, all right, free kick to Brentford in the opposition half kind of thing. And Utara was doing that throughout this game as well. And it was a game that Brentford, they had their moments, but they defended really well in this one. Like they sort of went back to basics after a tough first week at Forest, and they went, right, we need to do what we do well, and that is our defence. Let's build on that. Like, we know Villa are going to have a lot of possession. Like, that's fine. Let them have the ball. We know we can hurt them with Utara in the team. Like, we know we can hurt them on the break, and they did it throughout the game. Like, Damsgaard got into really good positions, orchestrating attacks. Like when they were on those counters, like Utara was was running with the ball. Thiago was getting through one-on-ones as well, sort of thing. So like the game plan worked perfectly from Keith Andrews and Brentford, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really did. And I already know that, well, not midfield, but a team with Damsgaard and Henderson is really going to annoy me this season. I feel like that they've got an attacking player that's going to annoy the shit out of me by being so good. And they got Jordan Henderson, who's going to I don't know how he's going to do it or if he's going to do it, but he's just going to run that midfield in the middle and just that's going to annoy the shit out of me as well.
No, annoy the shit out of me because where are my old midfielders who can run midfield? I've got loads of them at West Ham and none of them can run the pitch.
But yeah, I just want to touch on Damsgaard because he was different level. Like we expected it. We had him rated quite highly last year. He nearly became one of our players of the season, didn't he? Or was he one of our ones?
He was in our team of the season.
Team of the season
over Tielemans, who was on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, and I think he just picked up where he's left off last season. It was an incredible performance, and I think his goal getting chalked off was a bit harsh. I think it's one of those where if your keeper's getting like that nudge, you kind of want it to be given as a disallowed goal, but also the fact it's Martinez makes it more annoying.
Yeah. I feel too kind on Martinez this one. Like I think it should have stood. Like I understand goalkeepers are protected. Like any sort of nudge, they generally give it for the goalkeeper. But I think Martinez has made a meal of this one, and he's definitely
made a meal out of it.
He's got away with it.
He has, but I feel like your keeper does it. You're probably like, yeah, that always gets given. Like
of course, but you know,
Martinez doing it. I'm just there like,
I'd rather across the board it be less given, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like seeing this one, I was like, I think I'm glad it didn't have really an impact at the end of the day because Brentford won the game. But yeah, this was the Brentford defending I was expecting this season as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like we said, like we were a bit wide for Brentford, but with Keith Andrews coming in with a system, it's they're going to play that system again. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Back to basics, back to what Brentford know, and then move on from there and use Otario for basically getting goals on the break. The one thing I've got to ask is, do you know why Bournemouth let him go?
I don't know what happened between Otario and Bournemouth. It almost seemed like it never really, he never settled there. But I don't remember him ever being a standout for Bournemouth. Like I know when he came in, he played a bit and he was sort of in and out of the team.
He had a few moments, but I'm just there like Bournemouth don't really need the money from all the sales they made already. Do you think? Yeah.
Well, I think they made a couple of signings in forward positions. I think they've signed Amin Adli from Leverkusen and someone else whose name is escaping me, but I think they were willing to move on and use the money elsewhere, sort of thing. And I don't think they rated Utara that highly, but they were happy to sort of get the money for him. And
yeah, I mean, 40 mil, you're going to take it all day, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. If you've got a player who's not in your starting 11 for 40 mil, you take the money and reinvest into someone who you do think can come into your starting lineup. And Brentford have spotted something in Utara, and as you say, with the system that they have, like he kind of does fit that Embuemo mould, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, should we move on to Villa? Talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, I think for Villa, it's just they've not got off to a good start. No goals yet. I mean, you worry a bit for them, but the next game is Crystal Palace on a Sunday night at 7 p.m. at Villa Park, so I'm sure they're going to get their first goals and 3 points to start the season off there for them.
You say that like Villa don't have a bad record against Glasnow's Palace, like you're always saying this, but like, and then like you beat them 4-1 last year, and that like, I do think Villa. I trying to think about this, like, do Villa have a problem with scoring at the moment, or have they just faced two tough defences like Newcastle and Brentford? That's pretty tough defences to go against in your first two games. I think the answer is probably a bit of both, like tough defences that they've come up against, but also either the personnel that they're deploying in these positions, or they're not ready to start the season is having an impact as well. Like I sort of spotlighted that they've been playing with like McGinn and Rodgers on the wings, and like neither of those players are wingers in my opinion. Like they're both sort of central players. Like if McGinn was in my team, I'd want him in central midfield. If Rodgers was in my team, I'd want him in the 10. where he can link up with Watkins, playing sort of through balls and running into the on the edge of the box, being able to make those shots and stuff. I don't necessarily see him as a winger where the spaces are very different. It's you're gonna have to cross a lot more on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's something that I would be looking at.
yeah, I would agree with you completely on all of that. Yeah, I don't see what they can do because they can't really bring players in with the PSR problems either, can they?
No, but they've got players on the bench. I think Villa fans are crying out to see their new signing Ungesson come on and play in the left. Move Rodgers into the 10, move Tielemans back into one of the defensive midfield spots. In this game, they started with Kamara and Onana, and it's do you really need both of them against a team that Villa are expecting to beat at this point? It's a tough game against Brentford, but Villa are expecting to beat that team. So do you need the two defensive midfielders, or do you mix it up, have a Kamara or Onana with Tielemans, get a bit more ball control, and then have Rodgers in the 10, and then a winger, a proper winger. They've got Daniel Marlon as well, just kicking rocks on the bench.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Daniel Marlon's not a great player, but they have wingers.
It's something to change it up, really, isn't it? It's going to be an interesting one to see them live on the weekend, just to see what's really going on there, because they've got a heavy season ahead as well with Europa League and everything. So, yeah, they're going to need to get that kick started soon. I think that probably after international break, they might find a bit of form and will just be blazing ahead. But, yeah, anything else you want to take from that game, or should we move on?
No, let's move on down the south coast. We have Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0.
Nice. With Tavernier goal in the 4th minute, so an early goal that it definitely didn't close off the game. I thought it was actually quite an entertaining game, in all honesty, for a 1-0.
Can you believe how? Because I watched a bit of this in real time, and then in the match of the day highlights, how much action there was before it got to the goal, and then the goal was actually in the 4th minute. It was this one started like hellfire. It was end to end, both teams going full throttle.
Yeah, it really did. I gave it a bit of a nickname, the over the bar game, because there were so many shots that just went zooming over, and especially at the Vitality, going out of the stadium altogether.
Yeah, it was some poor finishing in this one. Whilst it was chaotic, but I think both teams could have had better quality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even the goal comes from a deflection, doesn't it? Which, is unstoppable for the keeper. But once again, let's just get the Semenyo, speak out of the way quickly. He looked very busy in this game.
I think we saw bad Semenyo this week. We had really, really good Semenyo last week. I think we see bad Semenyo this week. There was at least 2, maybe 3 chances that I'm probably got to bury one of those at least.
Yeah, it's the one that goes over the bar, isn't it, from really close in. But he was looking busy, I thought, in the beginning of the game. But yeah, it's just the finishing that let him down.
I mean, he's got main character energy, at the moment. Bournemouth, their attacks are running through him, and you would have backed him off 2 goals against Liverpool to have put one of those away and made this probably a more comfortable game for Bournemouth than it actually was. But we saw bad Semenyo in this one, I think.
Another crazy stat about this. So Wolves in the Premier League hadn't lost at the Vitality since 2018. So I think Wolves fans going down there probably expected them to get something by the end of the game, in all honesty. And I think they probably could have. Strand Larsen had a good effort on go, but I just don't think Wolves looked dreadful in this game by any means.
No.
And it's something, I know Pereira was pretty animated at half-time and made a lot of changes, and yeah, they forever looked in the game. It was just they couldn't really knock the door down and get that goal to make it an equaliser, and then obviously the red card doesn't help at all. You got any qualms with the red card at all?
I think it's soft, but I think he's given the referee a decision to make, and it's once you do that, you're living on borrowed time.
Yeah, it's that, isn't it? It's not give the ref a decision, like you say. Yeah, he doesn't touch him a lot, though. But I mean, it's that thing if someone's going at that pace. If it was against me and it was against Palace, I'd be like, that's a red card every day, get off the pitch, thank you. So yeah, I can't really argue it the other way, can I? Another thing for me, the Sarr save in this. from Adams. I think that's probably the save of the season for me so far. Did you see that one?
I can't remember off the top of my head,
No,
but
that might have just been the extended highlights I saw of it. But yeah, I don't think I have too much else to talk in this game. Like I say, main takes. I don't think Wolves need to worry too much, even though they haven't picked up any points yet. And yeah,
well, they beat us in the Carabao last night, so that's got their season starting and more West Ham misery. So yeah,
yeah, don't worry, mate. We're going to talk about that all in due course. Don't worry. Nice. Do you want to move on to then the game I was at on Sunday, Palace Forest?
yeah, take it away.
Yeah, nice. I mean, my simple summary of the game is first half we were good, second half they were good. So I think a draw was pretty fair all round. Leaving the stadium, yeah. I think seeing Morgan Rogers and Elliot Anderson in real life was something else. I said because I went with my mate who's a Forest fan. He was in the Holmesdale end with me, undercover, and I was saying to him, "Why is Morgan Gibbs White showboating every time he gets the ball?" And even worse, why is it working every single time? It is unreal. Some of the flicks he was doing in unnecessary positions, like put the ball around a corner to set up a winger to go into per crossing, like that. Yeah, they were really, really good. But then I think Palace in the first half were really good. I think Hughes did really well to shut Morgan Gibbs White down in that first half and not really let him or Elliot Anderson kind of play their game, which, was really good. We get a very deserved goal, I think, from Sarr, and then maybe should be going in 2-0 up with a header from Gay just before half-time. And then whatever Nuno said to Forest at half-time, I think he changed the wingers as well. I think that made a real difference in the second half, and you could see we were on the back foot, and as soon as they got the first one, I was, all but certain it was going to end 3-1 to Forest. And you have Jesus hitting the woodwork in the final minutes, and when that was sailing down the end where I stand as well, it's like, oh, here we go. You can already see him running off to the Forest fans celebrating, and I was just, thank God it hit the post, because I think a draw was deserved for both teams. In all honesty, would you disagree with me with that from what you've seen?
No, it looked like a fair point. I think you hit the nail on the head. It was first half Palace had the better of it. Second half it was Forest, and they did look more likely that they were going to get the winner if someone was going to. Like you mentioned, the Jesus chance. Hutchinson also had a really late chance. I think I just want to there's a couple of players I want to sort of talk about. Do you think as a Palace fan that Sarr is going to take a step up as the sort of talisman for the team now that Eze's left?
I don't think he'll be the talisman, but I think he already stepped up last season and showed what he can do for us. Big game Sarr is kind of what he's getting a name from all his goals he's got from us at Wembley. I think he is probably currently not the vocal point of the team, but he is that outlet for us, running in behind from balls from Walton. We're going to see a lot of that this season. And I think he's going to be the danger man until he goes away to AFCON. Then I really don't know what happens. We're getting linked with Pinot from Villarreal, 25 odd mil. I'm not going to lie, don't know much about him if I'm being honest. But
Hasty, young, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised he's going for that little, to be honest. He was very, very highly rated. I haven't been that close to his career in recent seasons. Maybe he's sort of tailed off a little bit or stagnated sort of his progression, but there's definitely a very quality player in there. He's quite small. Is one thing I would say, but
that's good to hear. But I think we still need more signings. Even if he does come in and hit the floor running, losing Ebbs, you can kind of see. Even though Ebbs wasn't he was able to, but even though Glasner doesn't want an Ebbs player in his system, Glasner and Ebbs made it work so well last year to give us everything they did. But I think if we get the players that Glasner wants with the money that's now gone for Ebbs, also I should probably say, massive thank you for Ebbs for everything he did. I'm not sad to see him go to Arsenal, in all honesty, for the money he has as well. I think all Palace fans are happy to wish him on his way after everything he did. But yeah, we need to use that money we got from him to bring more than just one player, and we need to be looking to bring 3 or 4 in, and all in that kind of position to give us the opportunity to break teams down, which we were doing in the first half. But yeah, there was no one in our team in the second half could have put the foot on the ball and just be cool, we're going to take the energy out of this game and just restart again.
Yeah, just got to say, you were absolutely not saying that you were happy that Eze moved to Arsenal to all of the Arsenal fans I used to work with you with.
No, to begin with, I wasn't. When they were like, "Oh, we're going to be really clever and like wait for his release clause to go down and then offer you 50 or 40 for him, and he's going to go," and I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" And then they wait for it, and then he goes for like, was it £500,000 under his release clause? And they're like, "Yeah, we're geniuses." I was like, "Fuck off!" Fuck off. But
All
no,
right, moving on from Evs, just to pinpoint one player for Forest is Dan Ndoye. He looks like he's settled into the Premier League with ease. I think his assist for Hudson-Odoi's goal was just incredible. Like proper line splitting pass, like really really dangerous. Like got a goal in the first game of the season as well for Forest against Brentford. Like he looks like he's come in and just taken one of those, like replaced Elanga with absolute ease.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When that goal went in, you're there like, "Oh, how fucking easy was that? We're shit. Like we can't defend anything." Then seeing the replay of like the pass that goes through, you're just there like, fair enough. Like I mean, Mitchell maybe could have been goal side, but you're not expecting a ball of that quality to go through, are you, really? And
Yeah.
Mitchell nearly makes up for it. There's nearly a save there from Henderson. But yeah, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Wycliffe boy, school I went to, scoring against us. And I was just there in the stands like, great, that's how it's going to go. But yeah, like I said, I think both teams deserved it. Only other thing to touch on, obviously, the banner from the homes there. Well, the
Yeah.
tifo to begin with, which was excellent, of Joe Ward with the cup, which I absolutely loved. And then the Marinakis banner. And, like, even I was stood there, can only see it from the side, so I couldn't see what it said. But half time, so everything on it, I was like, oh, they're going to get in trouble for that one. I think everything they put on it's kind of okay, apart from the gun to Morgan Gibbs White's head. Like, you
Yeah,
just can't.
they'll get put on some sort of charges for like inciting violence or something because the governing bodies don't have a sense of humor or don't
Yeah.
understand satire, and I thought it was a very apt and I thought it was a good statement to make. Like I think Marinakis is a questionable character, given
Yeah.
like, some of the stuff that I've read about his how he sort of made his fortunes and stuff, and some of the stuff he does away from football. And yeah, I think it was a good banner from Palace fans. Probably going to get in trouble for that having the gun on there, but
Yeah.
it was funny. And then I think on a similar note to that, the rumours of Nuno possibly leaving, like they seems come out of nowhere really in the last week or so, but it doesn't seem like it seems like Marinakis has sided with Edu, the sporting director, and Nuno's got a bit pissed off about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things I've heard about that. Just starting with the banner, I talked to like Forest fans. Like I was there with my mate who's a Forest fan. He was like, "Well, you're not wrong about what's on the banner," and it's got a good likeness to Marinakis. And my Forest fans at work, they're like, "Well, yeah, like nothing there is technically wrong. It's just about the gun, like we said."
Yeah.
But then in depth about like I was asking them, "Do you think Nuno's going?" And a lot of them are like, it's because he's not got the relationship with Marinakis like he used to have. He's now going through Edu for stuff, and he's not getting like what he wants from that. So, yeah, it's a weird one. But then, did you see Nuno come out after the game and saying it's all absurd about him leaving? Like he would never leave the job. But from talking to Forest fans, it doesn't seem like he's going to get axed from it. It just seems like it's a bit like tetchy at the moment.
Yeah, a weird one. I think it would be crazy for Forest to axe him, but Marinakis might make some bold decisions. Like we've seen it before with teams making very strange or like unexpected decisions because of the owner's like whim or mood that day, sort of thing. And if the relationship continues to break down, like if Nuno and Edu don't start working together, then one of them will be leaving by the end of the season. Like they're just generally how it goes. Like those two, like that sort of like relationship between either the owner and the manager, or the sporting director and the manager, like whoever, like whatever the relationship is, like see it all the time that once the rumours start happening that's bad. If you don't start hearing this fixed itself, it usually ends in the next 12 months. So. Who that would be who leaves? Well, we'd see, but
Would it not be really Marinakis for him to sack Nuno and bring in Mourinho? Just
I heard the rumours he was wanting to bring in his Greek buddy and Postecoglou, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, turn to my mate from first, I think Ange is like the not the worst, but like low on his list, and Mourinho would just be the perfect one. Like he was saying, it would be basically probably a year of absolute bliss, and then the worst like turmoil ever afterwards, like the biggest fallout ever seen in football. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch for Forest fans. But I think on the pitch, yeah, they look like they could be dangerous to any team, and I think also Palace look like we could be dangerous to any team. But I just don't think we're going to have the squad or the fitness to keep it up unless we bring some players in, especially if we win on Thursday night and actually get into the Conference League. But cool. Anything else? Or do you want to move on to Fulham United?
let's go Fulham.
Cool. Got my notes for this one. It was a 1-1, Munoz own goal and a Smith Rowe goal. I had a bit of a dull game, in all honesty. Kind of caught most of it in the pub after the game, and there was nothing I was really looking to the screen to, being like, oh shit, that's interesting. Obviously, you have the pen, which I don't think was a penalty, if I'm being... Well, sorry, it definitely wasn't a penalty, if we're being honest.
Oh, I disagree.
Do you think it's a pen?
Yeah. I don't know why Bassey's in wrestling mode. Like,
No.
he's playing like he's got a WWE belt on. Like, I don't know why he's like. I mean, he's obviously got spun around and like turned and stuff, but he's put his arms around him and fallen to the ground. Like,
No, I'm not having that.
I just think that is it's a clumsy thing to do in the box, and the referee's got a decision to make.
But Mount like initiates the contact onto him, and he's just pushing him away. And then Mount goes over because he's weak. If you look at behind him, it's like the same things are literally happening behind him, where a United player.
It happens a split second later.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like
if you're
they say,
giving
like-
that, you're giving fouls at every single corner.
Oh
Surely.
yeah, and it's not. I'm not saying it's consistent.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that this one is like you've given the referee, like Bassey's given the referee a decision to make. It's a bit like I think I just think it's clumsy from him to get involved like that as the defender, and especially playing against Man United. Refs love to give them penalties. Like I just think you've got to be smarter in that situation.
What can he do when Mount is literally like grabbing around him and pushing him one way? Is he just going to stand there, let him get knocked
Don't
out?
wrap your arms around him and then like flip like you're like trying to do take like a wrestling move over like a picnic bench. Like,
Mate, I disagree with you on that one. Then how do you feel about the goal for United then, where do you think that is fouled?
it
You don't
shouldn't have stood. Yeah, no, Yoro's pushed him in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's light, but he's pushed him in the back, and it's actually very clear. Like it's not like he's absolutely like pushed him really heavy, but he's absolutely pushed him off the ball. Like he's done enough contacts that away from the ball into the player's back to make it impossible for, I think it was a Iwobi who got pushed. Whoever it was.
Bassey who got pushed, wasn't it?
Was it Bassey who got pushed?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Then yeah, but yeah, I don't think that goal should have stood, and it was surprising that it wasn't looked at, really.
But you think it's United biased, like you just said?
Of course,
there.
they moved on from it too quick.
They moved on way, way too quick. Like,
They just kind of went, all right, yeah, United scored.
Yeah. What did you make of the Smith Rowe goal?
I don't think Iwobi's cross was meant for him, but I think it was smart for Smith Rowe to follow it in. Like that's probably what we want to see more from Smith Rowe. Like get a bit more end product. Like add a few more goals and assists to his game. Like he's at the peak of his career now. Like
it's just copy and paste what we were saying last season, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, do one good it would score a goal here, have one good performance there, then he'll go missing for a few games. I mean, I hope that's not the case for Fulham fans, and I hope it's a bit more maybe from that ex-Arsenal link-up more in the season. But I think, like I've said about a few teams, I think Fulham aren't really getting going this season in my eyes yet. Like they've got the goal back from Brighton at the end, get themselves a point there, which is a good point. I'd say United at home, I don't know if that's a good point anymore. I feel like
they were in this game, like it was like they had their chances throughout.
Well, they had more shots, they had more momentum in the game throughout. If you look at all the stats, not that you'd think now BBC for Match of the Day because it was like all United, but like they look like they should have been winning the game. If you look at the stats for Fulham, but I think you hit the nail on the head. They just need that little bit more to really push on in the league. it's not like they're going to be worried about relegation or anything. It's just a bit like, meh.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the super subs like at it again. Smith Rowe coming off the bench, scoring I think within a minute or two. Like it was really soon after he came on off the bench. So they keep pulling rabbits out of the hat and getting results. But I do agree that if they had probably had a better summer, brought in a couple of players like earlier on, like I know Marco Silva's been absolutely crying out for a left winger all summer. Like he's been quite vocal about his disappointment in Fulham's business, like lack of business, I should say. And I think if they'd have had a couple of extra players in earlier in the window, they would have been settled by now, and they might have been able to turn one of these results into a victory, because they've been in both games creating enough chances. But they might, as we sort of said, and as Hugo said, like, do they have the top level, like the ceiling raising talent for them to be turning these draws into wins?
Yeah, I guess that just isn't it at the moment. I feel like this is what probably anyone now was talking. Well, if anyone did a podcast like this, was talking about Palace for years when we had Roy, which wouldn't sign anyone. It's like, you're just going to watch meh games for the whole season. You're going to not really have anything to get you off your seat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never know, Fulham fans. Hopefully something happens before the end of the window for you, and you got a bit more. But it's fair, there might be a bit more oomph in the team, in all honesty, as the season goes on. But I'm just not seeing it myself at the moment. I don't think you are either, Tom, are you?
No. I mean, we'll see. The last few days of the transfer window, they've got to get a couple of players in.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. I think that's enough for that game. So shall we move on to the moment I've been waiting for this whole week, the whole weekend? Should we move on to West Ham 1, Chelsea 5, Paqueta a goal, and then I see you put in your notes for Chelsea, some twats times 5.
Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to write down all of the different goal scorers for Chelsea. It was just some twats from West London. Yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes of this were excellent. Like, West Ham came out firing, better team. Paqueta scores an absolute wonder goal. I was watching him in the warm-up, and he was actually banging them in, and like in the warm-up, which he doesn't often do. Like, quite often in warm-up, Paquetas will go wide. So I had a feeling before the game that he was going to score, and didn't know he was going to score that much of a worldie. But
it was a fucking strike. Yeah. Did you think keeper could have done better with it at all? I haven't really seen an angle.
I don't think so. I think it was past him before he'd really
even
started
had a chance.
I mean, Sanchez isn't a very good goalkeeper, but he's better than Hermansen.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, we'll get on to him in a bit. Yeah, it was just a thunder-cunt of a strike, that one, and yeah, it was awesome. Do you think? After that, does it go 1-1 and then you have the VAR goal disallowed?
Yeah, so 1-1, and then which is just the first in a long line of bad defending.
I mean, don't worry, I've got that question. Can you defend? Because they were just running through you for fun at some points.
Yeah, I mean, the defending was absolutely shocking, and what was the most surprising part of it was how bad Aaron Wan-Bissaka was in this game. Like, he was probably at fault for 3 of them. Like,
that's what I noticed, and I was
like, they were all coming from his, like, the finishes were all coming from his side, and he was just falling asleep, like, not following.
He was just losing his man constantly, wasn't he, at the back post every time? Yeah, I thought that. Oh, okay. I didn't want to say anything because I don't really want to say anything bad about Aaron, but yeah, it just. Do you think he's just not built to play whatever system Potter's put him in? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's putting him in his best position. I absolutely hate the formation. Like, I've never really been a fan of three at the back. Like, I generally, my footballing fandom is I like wingers. Like, as much as I like really strong defenders, I like wingers who can like turn the game, like players like Di Canio, Payet, like those sort of players that I've grown up on. And it's like when you're with a 3-5-2, you're relying on your attacking output from the wing to be wing backs. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's never been a wing back.
No,
he had a better than expected.
Yeah, he showed
last season he was better than expected.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be an actual wing back for a whole season for you. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, like he's
and
not going to be.
And Diouf seems to only be a wing back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we've bought a player who can only play there, because I don't know if I trust him as a left back, like in a 4. Aaron, I don't think should be playing as a right wing back. If anything, I'd play him as maybe the right centre back and have like Walker Peters or someone play the right wing back. But even then, like, all right, then you're saying Walker Peters needs to deliver like crosses and attacking input on the right because for some reason you've decided not to play Jared Bowen, who is a top 5 right winger in the Premier League, like in his best position. You've decided to put him in as a striker where he can do a job, but that's not his best position at all. And you don't have the midfield for it. You spent all summer playing Freddie Potts in pre-season to immediately drop him in the first, like before the first game of the season. Like Potter's made like notes that he needs like energy-filled midfielders, like young, hungry. Like his best Brighton teams had that, and all of our midfielders are 30 plus playing, and they didn't have legs in the best of days. Like Thomas Souček has never had legs. Like James Ward-Prowse has never been running around for like the past at least 5-8 years of his career. Maybe when he was very young. Guido Rodriguez has been in La Liga for most of his career, like not really doing that. Edson Alvarez has gone to Fenerbahce because Potter didn't like him so much, and you just like, and then Potter lost it in this one, and he lost a lot of fans. There's not that much good feeling towards Potter anyway before the game, like based off of since he's come in, the results haven't been there. But this one, like at half time he gave up on this formation, which I was like, thank fuck. But like you spent all summer building this formation and like putting the players in there, training at it, and then like a game and a half into the season, you've gone, nah, this isn't working, which is that is damning on your like skills as a coach. But then 20 minutes after that, he giving up on it and went back to it, and then put Kyle Walker-Peters on. And it was like, I was like, oh, okay, so you're so desperate for the system to work that you're just like, fuck it.
Okay, let's go back. Oh my god. To be fair to him, how the fuck is he meant to get a system to work when you have a goalkeeper who can't defend a corner?
He looks like he's gone back in time. Like he's Benjamin Button, and he's like, we signed a keeper and he lost 15 years. Like he looks about 5 foot out there.
I said, what were you doing signing a keeper from Leicester? That was their weakest position for the whole season.
Right. I drank the Kool-Aid and thought, you know, like he had some good games where he's like saved a lot of shots, but I think they fell into that. Let's judge a goalkeeper on like save stats and stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, Leicester were facing 30 shots a game. Like, of course he made some saves. But he hasn't made one for us.
No, he ain't. Hey, is there any silver linings you're taking out of it at all?
No, if anything, the cloud gets greyer. I don't think this is all Potter, and I don't think it's all the squad. I think the problems go deeper at West Ham. Like, I think the ownership needs that all of the board and stuff need to be moved on. The club desperately needs some fresh impetus at that level. We're probably the most embarrassingly run like club in the league at the moment, I would say. There's probably a couple like asking for it, but I think one thing I would say, the way that we do business is pretty embarrassing. Like, and it's not got any better in years. Like, the way David Sullivan wants to do transfers, he wants to control them, but he listens to agents all the time. So it's like, it will be like, oh, sign this player, and it'll be an agent that's recommended him. Like this guy Will Salthouse has got like loads of different clients that he's put to West Ham over the years, and it's just like, it's embarrassing that that's our setup in 2025, where we've got just a dodgy looking owner trying to do like haggling deals, like for example Mateus Fernandes at Southampton. We put in a 28 mil plus 2 mil bid for him, and Southampton went, we rate him at 50 mil. So I think the next week we put in a 29 plus 2 mil bid for him. It's embarrassing. Like.
Oh, it's brilliant. And I guess rounding up on West Ham, should we probably talk about last night at Wolves? Do you think there's anything to worry about the Jared Bowen stuff with the fans? I think from outside looking in, I've had our players like go to fans angry talking at the end, and I kind of prefer that from a player because it shows they actually care and have some bollocks. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100% back Jared. I think he's probably been on the end of, or someone was on the end of some abuse. I don't think any West Ham fan is throwing abuse directly at Jared. He is adored by West Ham fans, and I think seeing that he clearly cares for the club. Like, we already knew he cared for the club massively. Like, everything he said is like he wants to retire here. Like, this is his team. He's felt at home since he came here, sort of thing. And it doesn't just feel like lip service with Bowen. Like, it really feels like he means that. And I think we just, even like before they were in the changing room when he put an apology up on Instagram saying like, really sorry for my action, like I shouldn't have reacted like that. Like he's hurting as much as the rest of us.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And it's like, how much can one player do?
Yeah,
like
when he's been played our position as well.
Exactly. It's a team sport. He's not going to be able to do it all on his own. But anyway, let's move on from my despair.
Yeah, at least that feel like a nice venting? Do you feel like relaxed now? You got some stuff off your chest?
A little bit, until we got Forest on Sunday.
And then Tottenham after. Oh, cool. We probably lost a few listeners there to your end, but we'll move on. Anyway, so last one to talk about Arsenal Leeds. In all honesty, man, I don't think there's much for us to really talk about in this one. I don't think there's going to be Leeds fans wanting to talk about this game.
If there's anyone still listening.
Yeah, I think Arsenal scored with their 5 shots on target or something stupid. It's one of those results me and you have been on the end of 100 times before. Like, you go to the Emirates, you kind of get battered in not unfortunate circumstances. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to pick from it?
Not massively. I think Ampadu being out injured was such a big miss in the midfield. I think Anton Stack was a bit clumsy and overzealous in this game at times. Like, he did a foul on Odegaard and then gave away the penalty on Dowman, and just this one a struggle for Leeds, as this game will be a struggle for a lot of teams away at the Emirates. Like, Leeds aren't banking on this this was any positive out of this game would have been a nice to have. I'm excited to see how Noah Okafor gets on. They signed him from AC Milan, and he was at RB Salzburg before, and he was decent when he was at Salzburg. Didn't really pan out at Milan. I think he spent last season on loan at Napoli, and I think he's searching for somewhere, and so I'm interested to see how he gets on. But yeah, I mean, they got knocked out of the Carabao by Sheffield Wednesday as well last night.
Yeah,
so,
in front of no fans as well at Hillsborough because of the protests for Sheffield Wednesday. I think just a shout out for Sheffield Wednesday fans. I think the protests they're going forward with are really, really powerful, and hopefully something changes with their ownership soon. But yeah, I think that's everything to touch on Arsenal Leeds, and we'll take a little break and come back with our peak Barclaysman.
Cool, let's do it. And we're back. Alex, who do you have for our second peak Barclaysman of the season?
So this week I have for you a man who had a rocket launcher of a foot, score of some unbelievable goals from near the halfway line, a man that played for Portsmouth, Bolton and your team West Ham. I have Matty Taylor. So to ring off some stats for him, he had 325 Premier League appearances with 40 goals, and almost every one of those goals was an absolute belter in some form or another. Do you have fond memories of him for his time at West Ham for you? Or, like me, do you just have the goal against Sunderland from the halfway line and the goal against Everton from the halfway line in your head?
I think at West Ham we got a different Matty Taylor than I was necessarily expecting. We got an older, sort of wiser, bit more journeyman Matty Taylor. Like, he sort of came in and mostly played left back for us at that point of his career. He came when we were in the Championship and got promoted, stayed for a couple of seasons, was sort of a bit part player for us. But yeah, man, those like mid-noughties times with the baggy Pompey shirt on and just like absolute leathering goals, like proper loopy ones as well. Like, it's not that they were just like hammers, like they were like proper like go 30 yards over the goalkeeper and loop into the net. It was like,
that's it exactly, isn't it? We'll get into the goals in a sec, but just a brief overview. So started at Luton Town, where he stayed with them for a couple of seasons, and then joined Portsmouth under Harry Redknapp, which I think we said it before, we're going to have a lot of players from the Harry Redknapp teams, but especially the Portsmouth Harry Redknapp team. I'm thinking like Patrick Berger and people like that from it. But yeah, he had a bit of a tricky start to his time in the Premier League with a few injuries that didn't see him really excel in the first season. But then that second season in that 04-05 season's really when he became a peak Barclays player, as we'd say. So you have the first one where he has his goal against Sunderland from the halfway line. And yeah, it's literally... The goal is a way the ball just somehow pops up perfectly for you to just be like, fuck it, I'm going to have it. And then bang, straight over, all the way over the keeper into the back of the net. And then you have the other one against Everton where it pops up even better for that moment where it's just like, boom, hit it. And I'm just going to say, they're goals that we don't really see in the Premier League anymore because players are taught not to do that. They're taught to, get the ball, restart the play, go from there, win the ball back, pass it there, pass it there. This is the type of thing we're missing from modern football, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to make us like nostalgia baiting of like, oh, this doesn't happen in modern football. I think it happens every now and then, but it's definitely less frequent. Like you don't have like the license, like the way how like these coaches are so obsessed of control and stuff like, like controlling the ball and the game and that, like they really coach out like long strikes out of players and stuff. And so like, rewatching some of Matty Taylor's goals today was like a blast from the past of like, man, they used to let them leather the ball from wherever they wanted, like in the pitch. Like they trusted the players to be like, no, if you like, it'll go wrong at times for sure, but when it hits, it will be remembered for 20 plus years. Like,
mate, that's it. I remember on Premier League years on Sky, like just remember to get to that season, he's banged those two in. Then from Portsmouth, his playing time started to dwindle, so he moved on to Bolton for 3.5 years, where he scores another very memorable thundercunt of a free kick against your boys, the Hammers. I'm sure you saw that one today watching him back. But yeah, like you said, moved on to West Ham at the end and helped you guys promotion from the Championship. I mean, my interesting facts for him was I've got two actually. Whilst he was at Swindon, he was asked to player manage after the manager time resigned, and he basically planned the whole week not to play the game. And then an injury just before the game, he has to come in. He ends up playing himself. They lose 3-0. Gets asked, has he got the bug for managing? He's like, nah, I've got quite the opposite feeling after that performance. And then other not quirky stat for him, but he came out of retirement in 2022 at the age of 41 to play for his teenage side, non-league outfit Aberdeen United. I've probably butchered that. But yeah, I couldn't find anything too Aberdeen United. I couldn't find anything too much more like quirky as you usually do because he's not too far out of the game in all honesty yet. But yeah, I just think he was a player we had to bring up in peak Barclays. Where would you have him on our table? Do you think?
Oh, have you got the list up? I think he's going. I'm maybe putting him under Jussi Jääskeläinen.
Yeah, I'd agree with you with that one. I've not got the list up here, but
I think that puts him around 6.
Yeah, I'll get the graphic up for us this week because I didn't have it last week. So I'll put that in so everyone can see him slotting in under Jääskeläinen. But yeah, other than that, let's move on to predictions for the week. So I'll run these off for us and then, let's see how we're going. So first one, we have Chelsea-Fulham, the West London derby.
Yeah. It's really tough to tell what Fulham's going to turn up, but given they've had 2 draws, I'm going to go with another draw, 2-2.
2-2? I don't know why. I just think Chelsea are going to have a good year this year as much as I probably don't want them to. I'm probably going to go for a 3-1 to Chelsea, unfortunately, Fulham fans. Then the next one we have Man United-Burnley.
Man United-Burnley, I think it's going to be a tough ask for Burnley to get this, but I think they'll be defensively on it, so I'm going to go 1-0 Man United.
1-0. I'm going 0-0. I generally think I honestly think if Burnley turn up there with a game plan like they had in the Championship to like defend against teams, I can't see why they don't leave there with at least a point. No?
Fair.
Yeah. Next one, Sunderland-Brentford. I think a game probably people were looking at as a 6-pointer at some point, but yeah, I don't think that's the case now.
Yeah, this is a difficult one to call. Sunderland back at home. Brentford, defensively better this week. I think Sunderland home crowd going to get them over the line. I'm going to go 2-1 Sunderland.
2-1. See, I was thinking that first off the bat, but I think it's probably more going to be a draw for some reason. I'm going to go 1-1. Not the most exciting prediction from me there, but yeah. Spurs Bournemouth at the London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
You mean at the toilet bowl?
Yeah, toilet bowl.
At the toilet bowl. Unfortunately, I'm going to go Spurs 3-2.
3-2. Yes, Spurs do seem to be scoring, don't they? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. Sorry, Bournemouth fans. I feel bad about that one. Another interesting one, Wolves-Everton at Molineux. I can't call that game, if I'm being honest.
I think this has got 1-1 written all over it. I don't think there's... I think Wolves will take that cup win and bounce back a little bit. Everton, away from home, they'll take a draw.
I think I'm going to go for 2-0 Everton. I don't know why. I think everything... I'm going to back like my predictions within pre-season. I think everything's just going to get clicking with that front... Well, those two wingers that they have now. Cool. Moving on to Leeds Newcastle at Ellen Road. That's an interesting one. Now Newcastle may... Well, it all depends on transfers, but they may not have a proper striker in place for that game.
No, but I don't think Leeds are necessarily the safest defensive team we're going to see this season.
No,
I think Newcastle might win this 2-1.
2-1, okay. I think I'm going for... I'm going to go for... Yeah, probably a 2-1. I'm going to join you on that bandwagon. I think Leeds will score, but Newcastle are probably going to have enough. Brighton, City, I think I know what's going to happen here, but what about yourself?
Brighton always... I feel like they always do quite well against Man City, so...
Exactly,
I'm going to go with a 2-1 Brighton win.
Yeah, 2-1 Brighton win. I'm probably going to go for a 1-0 Brighton, in all honesty, as much as I don't want it, and that'll be the thing that gets their season going, I bet. But, yeah. Cool. Forest West Ham, do you want to make a prediction? 3-0 Forest. I feel hard for you, mate. I feel bad for you, man. I do.
Hey, I know you've been here before. Like we've both been here with our fandoms. Like it is what it is.
I think this may be a game where Potter's just like, I need a draw, so put like all the defensive walls up. I'm gonna go 0-0. And then we don't have to talk about it next week either, which would be good for you.
That'd be great. If we can keep a clean sheet, wow.
Cool. And then the late game on Sunday, which I'm not looking forward to going to, a 7 p.m. in Birmingham on a Sunday is just not fair.
Awful kickoff time. Hate it.
Exactly.
But I think you'll come out happy because Palace, Glasner have a good record against Villa. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for Palace.
I would take that all day long. I'm not as optimistic as you. I think it's going to be a 3-1 to Villa. I've just got a feeling that this is going to be one where they get their own back on it. I think it's just too late for it. We're going to have the European game on Thursday night. I think if we win that, maybe it's a bit better. If we lose that, it could be like all a bit worrying. And the players we're going to get aren't going to be in time to play that game. But cool, that's everything else. I think we've run quite long this week, so thank you, listeners, if you're still with us. But yeah, feel free to rate and review us, the podcast, and tell your friends. And then on socials, feel free to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Reddit at Other14FC Podcast, and email in anything you want to hear from us or any ideas for anything at Other14FCPodcast@gmail.com. But otherwise, I'll catch you next week, Tom.
Nice one. Cheers, man.
Bye.